So we have seen, apart from the Vedas, Upanishads, and the philosophical texts, there are pure poetical compositions like what belongs to Kalidas, Bhartrihari, Magha, Bharavi, Sriharsha, and many others. There are two important, uh, you know, gamut of literature which have contributed maximum towards the upliftment of the race and keeping the spiritual tradition alive and also the language alive in the people. One is the devotional literature, the Stotra Sahitya. So by itself it is huge. It's huge. These are the devotional literature composed by many devotee poets, saint poets, even including Shankaracharya and most of the acharyas. So this is where we find the devotional prayers, praises, hymns of various kinds. So that literature is something which is alive in the mass. Whether people know Sanskrit or do not know Sanskrit, whether they know, have heard about Vedas or Upanishads or Gita or not, but stotras are very popular among the people. Singing the bhajans, singing the prayers and praises. So this is one aspect of the literature where we can always keep a contact to enter into the deep, the depth of the spirituality aspect, or the devotional aspect, or the divine element, which is very, very prominent here. The other type of literature which has attracted many people, and many people keep those stuff with them, is the Subhashita literature. The Subhashita, it's again another set of huge amount of literature. So if you just go and Google, find out all the Subhashita literature, you will see the amount of, quantitatively also it's huge, both in quantity and quality. The Subhashitas, they are, as the name suggests, Subhashita, well said, all the ancient wisdom, the words of the wise. So sometimes they are known as Sukti. Sukti means Suukti, well said. And these were the literature mostly dealing with how to live right kind of life. It deals with the human temperament, human psychology, human behavior, with human life at a practical level. So I come to Bhartrihari before we go to little discussion about Subhashita literature. In Vairagya Sataka, where he writes about little above 100 verses, showing he's not proving the mithyatva of the world, but the reality in which we live. We can't deny the reality of life. So from his experience, he writes one of the famous Subhashita of Bhartrihari. He says, Bhoga na bhukta. He reaches at the end part of his life and says, Bhoga na bhukta, vayameva bhukta, tapo na taptam, vayameva tapta, kalo na yato, vayameva yata, trishna na jirna, vayameva jirna. This is the reality of the life which lived without any purpose, without any higher purpose. His life is spent, a life spent without any purpose, the aimless life. It ends this way, where one has to express oneself in this manner. He says, Bhogana bhukta, vayameva bhukta. He said, I came to this world for enjoying this world, but instead of I enjoying the world, I got consumed by the world. Huh? Yes. I got consumed by the enjoyment itself, or by the world itself. Bhoga na bhukta. So I didn't lead a right kind of life. I never had the right enjoyment of the world. Rather, I myself was consumed. The hope is to be aware right from the beginning when you have time still, before you get consumed. So bhogana bhukta vayameva bhukta. Then he said tapona taptam vayameva tapta. He said we came here to do the tapas, lead for like realizing ourselves, but all that we did, it was not tapas. We didn't energize ourselves, we didn't ingather ourselves, we didn't utilize that power of concentrated energy of the consciousness. Rather, we were burnt of a tormented whole of the life. Vayam tapta. Then he says, Kalo na yato vayameva yata. He says, the time has not passed. Kalo na yato. It is we who are spent. Kalo na yato vayameva yata. We are spent. We are reduced. But Kala has not passed. Because the division of Kala, it refers to that like Kala is infinite. Who can measure the Kala? It's only a mental formation that morning, evening, this time, that time. But Kala is infinite. Then he said, Trishna na jirna vayameva jirna. He said, Trishna na jirna. We thought that we will, we'll finish all our desires. We'll fulfill all our desires. But desire is something that we have become jirna, means we have become old, but the desires are not yet, fulfilled. So there is endless desire still, but we have become old by desiring the desire. Gita has a very beautiful terminology called kama kami. Kama kami, see, one desire gets fulfilled, another desire comes, another thousand. So Gita says, the desiring the desire, the desirer of desires. So there is no end to it. Na kama kami. Who is kama kami? Who always keeps, following the trail of desires, will never realize the self. So this kind of compact PT verses, very precisely, they bring out the reality of life, of the creation, of the values, of the society, of the human temperament, of the human psychology. This is what one finds in the whole of the Subhashita literature, and sometimes related to the practical wisdom, sometimes related to the political people. And these are, like in almost all scriptures, whether you speak of Kalidas, Bhartrihari, Bharavi, Magha, in their long poems, in their dramas. So time to time you find these Subhashitas reflected in all the literature. So Mahabharata is so full of it. Panchatantra and Hitopadesha and all kinds of storybooks that we have, they're all filled in with this. The kings needed more. The society needed more guidance from the realized people. What is to be done at what moment? What is to be done when challenges are faced? So this is where we find the birth of all the Subhashitas. So one of the Subhashita is about the Subhashita. It is said that Pruthivyam Trini Ratnani. Pruthivyam, on this earth, in this life, there are only 3 gems. Trini Ratnani, 3 riches. Jalam, because one cannot do without Jalam. This is one of the most important thing. Annam, and the food and the drinks. If you just remove these 2, then there is no life. So as the food and drink, they are necessary for the life, the one more important gem is, even air also is included in Jalam and Annam. You have no Jalam, no Annam without air. Subhashitam. It's a Subhashita. Without Subhashita, there is no life. It actually builds life. Like food and drinks, it is the food for the soul. Thankfully, the ancient Indian seers and sages and saint poets and the wise people did not write chicken soup for soul. They just gave us food for the soul, Subhashitam. And it says, Mudhaihi Pashana Khandesu Ratna Sangyam Vidhiyate. Only the stupid ones, they consider that these small pieces of precious stones are gems. The real gem is here, the Subhashita. And if you want to get into which are the Subhashitas, actually there is a Maha Subhashita Sangraha, which has been published now so far in 8 volumes, but not yet complete. So almost all Subhashitas, they are compiled there with English translation and notes alphabetically. Alphabetically, they are organized and translated into English. Almost all Subhashitas are put together. Yes, Maha Subhashita Sangraha. It is, I think, I forget the name. Is a for Sternberg or something like that, a German person who has done it. Otherwise, the ancient Subhashita collections, there is Subhashita Ratna Kosha, and all these are available in printed form with Hindi translation or some regional language translation, and to some extent English translation. So there was one Vidyakara, and most of the Subhashita literature, they are compilations. They are collected from various sources, like one we find in Panchatantra. So one may think that these are the verses which are composed by Vishnu Sharma, the author of Panchatantra, but it's not. They are all compiled from various sources. So we have Subhashita Ratnakosha, we have Subhasitavali. This is coming from Vallabhadev from Kashmir. Sadukti Karnamrutam and Sukti Muktavali, Sarangadhara Paddhati, Sukti Ratnakara, Padya Veni, Subhashita Nivi, Padya Rachana, Padyamrita Tarangini, Sukti Saundarya, Satakatrayam of Bhartruhari. This is a Subhashita Bhandagara, which is very, very popular. It comes with the Sanskrit commentary. Commentary means Sanskrit annotations. And sometimes Hindi translation is also available. Subhashita Ratna Bhandagara. And it's available, most of these books are now available on the internet for free download and then read it. There is Sukti Samuchaya. There is Lokik Nyaya Muktavali, where all the local aphorisms which are there, examples, Lokika Nyayas. So this Subhashita literature itself is extremely vast. And from that, like when we were children and maximum time when we have to teach children, we give them these simple Subhashita shlokas. Shaile shaile namanikyam muktikam na gaje gaje. So like this kind of Subhashitas which are easy to recite, and they carry a lot of deeper values which children inculcate right from the beginning. So one of the Subhashitas, yes. There's a higher desire. No? Shastra doesn't say that. But the quality of your life depends upon the quality of your desire. Isn't it? So for what you desire, yes. It is there. It has to be there. Yeah. So depends upon the quality of your desire. What you desire. It's the inner, like desire to have something higher is the aspiration. I am aspiring for something higher. It's one of the Purusharthas. One cannot do without it. It doesn't say that you should not have desire, but it depends upon the quality of desire. What you desire. Nothing is good, nothing is bad. Who said? Yeah, it depends upon what perspective it is looked at. Can be. Yes. What is good to you may be bad for me, or what is good to me may be bad for you. So it depends upon, it differs from person to person, time to time, place to place. It's ongoing. It's ongoing. So this is what I wanted to, discuss also a point that all this literature, the creative writings, although there was a huge decline, but the amount of literature which has been built up again starting from the early 19th century till date, coming under the modern Sanskrit literature of various kinds. Quantitatively, it is huge. It's excelling even what was there before or what is available before in printed form. So various creative writings in Sanskrit. But the sad part is that because of the low interest in Sanskrit, there are not enough readers. Those books are just printed and kept in the libraries. But if someone goes and finds in a corner modern Sanskrit literature, so it's a huge amount of literature, poetry, drama, novels, and various kinds of things. Modern. And sometimes the old topics are taken or modern topics are taken, and very qualitative also. Very qualitative literature. Even now also there are many people who are writing specific Subhashita books. The Subhashita belongs to them and relating it to the present day living. So there is a continuation which is not yet stopped, but it doesn't come to the limelight because these are purely written in Sanskrit. So hardly there is any attempt towards further translating these things into the regional languages and making it popular. In some universities, some people take it as their PhD or MPhil thesis and then annotate it or translate it or present it in some form. So one more important Subhashita I will take. It says, Manasi, Vachasi, Kaye, Punya Piyusha Purna, Tribhuvanam Upakara Shrenibhi, Prinayantah, Paraguna Paramanun, Parvati Krutya Nityam, Nija Hrdi Vikasanta Santi Santa Kiyanta. Here there is poetry and there is this deeper value. He says, how many saintly people are there in this world? Those who are truly saints, true saints. Santi Santa Kiyanta. How many? Those, what is their work, the true saint? They said, Manasi, Vachasi, Kaye. In mind, in word, and in whatever they execute through physical. So in their physical action, in their mental action, in their verbal form, Punya Piyusha Purna. They are filled in with purity and their words are nectarous, their thoughts are nectarous, their acts are nectarous. And Tribhuvanam Upakara Srenibhi Prinayanta. And pleasing all the three worlds or everything and being in this world by doing only good to the world. So they have never performed anything physically, emotionally or mentally, psychologically, anything that would do any harm to the creation. Anything in the creation. So Upakara Srenibhi, all that they have done throughout their life has contributed something towards the progressive evolution, but it has not done any harm. And Paraguna Paramanam, they have always looked at the qualities in others, good qualities in others. They have never spoken about the bad in others. They have never spoken things bad about others. So Paraguna Paramanam, and wherever they found even a little good quality or little virtue, Nija Parvati Krutya Nityam, and they have enhanced that small quality into like mountainous size, and where Nija Hrdi Vikasanta, manifesting it, developing it in themselves, that quality. Wherever they found a good quality, they have first manifest it or develop it in them. So then it helps the society, helps the humanity. So Manasi, Vachasi, Kaye, Punya, Piyusha, Purna, Tribhuvanam, Upakara Srenibhi, Prinayanta, Paraguna, Paramanun, Parvati Krutya Nityam, Nija Hrdi Vikasanta, Santi Santa Kiyanta. There's another on the desire, the most beautiful Subhashita, again from Bhartrihari. So he says, Vayamiha paritushta valkalais tvam dukulei, or tvam cha lakshmya. There are little variations in the reading. He says, Vayam iha paritushta valkalei tvam cha lakshmya. So here there is a comparison, a mendicant, a person who has left everything, free from the sense of possession, and they're still happy. Because happiness, after giving up everything materially, still if one doesn't feel happy, then there is no point giving up everything. So this happy person, realized person, he says to the king who is materially attached to his wealth, his possessions, his kingdom and this thing, lives in luxury and only in luxury without paying attention to his own self, living in his projection. So he says, so the king asked that what is the secret? But the king is also living in the luxury. He is also happy. So he says, like, what is the difference between this happiness and the happiness that I am experiencing? Happiness that you are experiencing. He asks this person. So to explain him, he says that though both look to be happiness, but there is a huge difference. Where lies the difference? He says the difference lies, and also the one man, like the story which I illustrated in one of the sessions, even though someone can live in luxury, a man living in luxury and a man living without anything, still they can be equaled. They can live in equal state of being. It doesn't matter whether someone is living in the forest with just one clothes or another person is living in luxury and opulence, like the story we heard about this. So what makes the difference here? He says, Vayamiha paritushta valkalehi. We are happy with our one clothes and little possessions, what is necessary for maintaining life. Tvamcha lakshmya, and you are also satisfied with. So what is important is this happiness. Whether I have little or whether I have more, I have to see all the times whether I am happy or not inwardly. If my wealth, my possession makes me unhappy, I have no peace of mind, I have no tranquility, I have no happiness, no joy I am drawing from anything from my life, even though I have everything, then there is, that life is not living worth living life. So what is important is santosha. He says, Satu bhavati daridru yasya trishna vishala. The true poor man is he whose desires are unending. Whose desires are unending. The one who has unending desires, he always lives in utter poverty. Manasitu paritushte kurthavan kodaridra. If this satisfaction is there, this happiness is there in the mind, one is free from, or one who has control over his desires or lives with a minimum desire, but the joy, happiness, bliss, peace, all these things are important, then who is arthavan and who is daridra? Who is rich and who is poor? Both are rich, because contentment. Yadrucha labha santushta, in the language of the Gita, Yadrucha labha santushta. Whatever comes, I'm happy with that. Because happiness is the main thing. Little comes or more comes or doesn't come, but I do not deviate from my state. I don't fall from my state of happiness. So vayamiha paritushta valkalais tvam cha lakshmya samaiha paritosho nirvishesho vishesha satu bhavati daridro yasya trishna vishala manasi cha paritushte korthavan ko daridra. There's one more. There's no difference. I mean, it is a dialogue between the story which I illustrated, that luxurious man, and so if that state comes, one lives in luxury or lives in, with minimum things. So both are equal when that santosha is established. If santosha is not there, then both are different. The difference lies in santosha, whether one is having santosha or not having santosha. So, like we heard, there was a beautiful story again which was spread through internet. Is the story of a ceramic cup. The story of a ceramic cup. So he's saying, like, I felt very happy and very unhappy when the man brought me and dug the clay, and then put water into it, and then put me into the fire, and then I had to go through a lot of, torturing. But now I feel happy that he has given a beautiful shape to me. But all these things, all these phases I had to pass to become beautiful. So the beauty, the real, charm in life doesn't come just without any trouble, without any challenges, without any churning, without going through any tormentation, any torturing, any burning, any fire. So the poet here says, Yatha chaturbhi kanakam parikshate, as the gold is tested, the purity of the gold is tested by four things. Nigharshana, nigharshana means it is rubbed. Chedana, it is cut. Tapa, it is heated. And tadana, it is by beating. Nigharshana, Chedana, Tapa, Tadana are the four means to bring the gold to its, or to know the purity of the gold. Similarly, Tatha Chaturbhi Purushaha Parikshate, whether a man is a real man, is the real Purusha or not, or a good man or not. So how one has to assess, what is the assessment mechanism? Says Kulena, Shilena, Gunena, Karmana. These are the four. Like Kulena means to what family one belongs. Shilena, what is the character of the person. Gunena, what are the virtues. Shila here means not just character, his way of life. Gunena, what are the virtues, what are the good qualities seen in his personality. And karma. These are the four means by which, and always when we do the self-introspection, this has to be kept in the mind. What is my guna? What is my shila? What is my karma? Although kula is not that important. That's why Karna in the Mahabharata he said, Daivayattam kule janma. In which family I will be born, it is under his control. Daivayattam. Or it is my destiny. It is the fate, or it is the divine wish. Daivayattam kule janma, but madayattam to paurusham. But paurusha must be under my control. So I should prove to the world who am I, not my family. Daivayattam kule janma. To which family I am born, that should not be that important for me. So the question is like one may be born in a very noble family, but the karma doesn't express that, doesn't reflect that, so one ruins. So he brings a bad name and fame to the family itself. So kulena shilena gunena karmana yatha chaturbhi kanakam parikshate nigharshana chedana tapa tadanaihi tatha chaturbhi purushah parikshate kulena shilena gunena karmana. There is something more to it. We may be acquiring lots of knowledge, mastery over language, mastery over shastras. We have got good friend circle. All those who are associated with me are all high level people, top level people. I have a good networking system. I have much wealth. I have much knowledge, much learning. I'm a wise person. Everything is there. But still, if I am not practical, I don't have the practical wisdom, then I will be considered as the most stupid one in the world. So this is where one poet comes and says, Kavyam karotu parijalpatu samskrutam va. Because this is what we see in our day-to-day life. There are many wise people speaking Sanskrit fluently, or their language is pure and everything, but we don't find that human element in them, that human emotion in them, no love, no compassion, no right attitude. So he says, Kavyam karutu, let him make poetry of the highest order, parijalpatu samskrutam va, and fluently speaking the language, speaking Sanskrit. Sarvah kalah samadhigachat vachyamana, and may he acquire the knowledge of, he has the knowledge of all the learning, all the branches of learning one names. Like Shvetaketu did. Ask me anything under the earth, anything under the sky. I have that knowledge. Then he says, the poet says, in spite of all these possessions, lokasthitim yadina vetti yathanurupa. With our shastric knowledge, if we do not behave accordingly in situation, rightly in the right situation or in different situations, if we don't behave rightly, then sarvasya murkha nikarasya sa chakravarti. So he is the Chakravarti, Samrat, the emperor of all the murkhas, all the stupid ones, if one who doesn't understand the lokasthiti, what is to be done at what point of time, what is to be done in what situation. One may be having a lot of... So that is why he says, Yasya nasti swayam prajna shastram tasya karoti kim. One may be having shastric knowledge, lot of learning, but swayam prajna and the practical wisdom, what is to be done at what moment, at what time, how. If this knowledge one doesn't acquire, this swayam prajna is not there, this application of the shastras in the right manner is not there, then the shastra is of no use. This is where there is a very beautiful story in Sanskrit. There were 4 students who passed out from the Gurukul. Very learned, they have the shastras in them. So they are just coming out of the Gurukul, 4 of them. So they walked out, which during the Gurukul study period, they never came out. So many years, they don't know the roads. So they just came out. After some distance, they found a road leading to 4 directions: east, west, south, north. So they were confused which road to take. And for them, they had decided that our Shastra is going to help us. So they were just waiting there, and there was one man. They found that a group of people, they are just going, saying something and then going. So they went near, they found that they are saying Ram Naam Satya Hai, Ram Naam Satya Hai. So they are carrying the dead body of someone and then going. So they asked, what is this? Where are they going? And what happened? They have never seen a dead body. They have never seen such a scene. So someone from the crowd explained it to them that, this person, he is the Mahajana. Mahajana means he is the landlord of this area. His mother died and they are carrying the dead body to the graveyard. So they linked everything. They said, now we are in a situation where there are 4 roads. We don't know where to go. Now here comes a Mahajana. They have never heard that, Mahajanas are like landlords or anything. Then Mahajana is going. He said, let's explore a little bit of Shastra. So one of them said, why to explore Shastra? I instantly remember what is to be done. He says, Shastra says, Mahajano yena gatah sa pantha. It means, the actual intent of this sentence is, the path taken by the great souls, Mahajana, is the real path. Now they translate it into the practical term, Mahajano yena gatah sa pantha. Now look, here is the Mahajan. So let's see which road he is going. So they followed. And where did they land? They landed in the graveyard. They have never seen a graveyard. They're finding it difficult what to do. So they're roaming here and there. They suddenly discovered a donkey. They have never seen donkey. So they started caressing the donkey, and someone is holding the tail, someone is the ear, and someone is kissing the donkey. And so why did they do that? So after seeing the donkey, they said, what this animal and what relation we have, what do we do in this situation? So let's see the Shastra, what is there. So a third person says from their group, the third one, he says, why to go to Shastra? I instantly remember what is to be done. He said, what? He said, Rajadware Shmasanecha Yah Tishtati Sa Bandhava. It means, the Shastra says, the actual intent of the meaning, like if death happens, so You may not go and attend marriage ceremony, you can have excuse for everything, but one who stands in these situations with their relatives as a support, emotional support. Yes, you attend. Death ceremony, definitely we attend. Rajadwara, and when someone is prosecuted in the court, helpless, so we go, the relatives, the true relatives, they go and appear in such, so as a support. He says, Rajadware Shmashanecha Yah Tishtati Sabandhava. He is the true friend who appears in these two cases. He said, then why let? He is our real friend. We are meeting him in the Shmashan, in the graveyard. So let's take care of it. Then they were all nicely beaten by the donkey. So it kicked each one of them. They said, what kind of friend is this? It is kicking. We just wanted to love our friend. Now it became evening, and they all had to spend night, and they were feeling hungry also. Whole day they have not eaten anything. So they went. So two of them went to one person's house, another two went to another person's house. So the first two, they were served with what do you call uttapam or set dosa, you can say set dosa, and they found they have never seen dosa. For the first time they are seeing dosa, and there are so many holes. So this is, what kind of food is this with so many holes? Let's see what Shastra says. So one of them said, why Shastra? I instantly remember the Shastra. He said, what does the Shastra says? He says, Shastra says, Chidreshu anartha bahuli bhavanti. So wherever there are holes, there are anartha, that means bad things. So the intent is like too many loopholes, shortcomings lead to danger. So he said, Chidreshu anartha bahuli bhavanti. Are what kind of food this is? Isko mat khao. Anarth ho jayega. So they left. They didn't eat that because they found holes, following the Shastras. The other two, so they were served with Chinese noodles. So Chinese noodles means they were surprised, shocked. He said, what kind of food is this? Such long thread type. तो बोला शास्त्र देखो क्या कहता है, कुछ है क्या, सूत्र जैसा दिखता है. बोला there is no need to see Shastra. I instantly remember what is there in the Shastra. He said, what does it say? He said, Dirgha Sutri Vinashyati. Dirgha Sutri is one who procrastinates. I mean, delays the thing is called Dirgha Sutri. He delays, chalo kal karenge. So we'll do it. So, Dirgha Sutri Vinashyati. So he perishes. He doesn't achieve the goal of life. He said, अरे ये दे रहा है हमें खाने के लिए. So he's serving this Dirgha Sutri. ये तो विनाश है. We will die. So they didn't eat. So this is what the Shastra can do to the ones who have no Swayam Prajna, those who do not have the practical wisdom. So after giving the whole learning, the Acharyas, they always taught the practical value of all these things, how to implement in the life. So then one learns and implements in the life in the right way and lives the right kind of life. All these treasures is a general term I'm using for the Shastra. So, Yaksha, again another practical Subhashita, the one of the most beautiful Subhashita and learning that we get from Mahabharata. Irsha. Irsha means jealousy. Is one of the biggest enemies which hampers our progress and creates problems at many levels. Jealousy. So Vyasadeva says in the Mahabharata that this is a very dangerous disease. Once it affects, it kills the person from the root and doesn't allow the person to, he becomes permanently diseased. Ya irshu, and where one has the irsha, he says ya irshu. Irshu means one who is jealous. Paravitteshu. Paravitta means another person's possessions, wealth. So this is where maximum jealousy. Uska itna hai. So he has so much. Ya irshu paravitteshu rupe. And rupa is another field where jealousy happens more. अरे यार बहुत अच्छा दिखता है वो या दिखती है. तो you know, like the jealousy, amount of jealousy among the girls, women with regard to the rupa. Rupe, virya, and the strength. Like someone can do, has the physical strength, or someone's strength, competence. Rupe, virya, kulanvay, and coming from a good family. So he belongs to that family. So there one develops jealousy. So ya irshu paravitteshu rupe virye kulanvaye sukha, and in another person's happiness, saubhagya, in another person's good fortune, satkara, looking at the hospitality and respect given to the other person. If one develops jealousy in all these things, so he says, the verse says, poet says, Vyasadeva says, tasya vyadhi anantaka. So he becomes endlessly diseased if one who has jealousy in all these things. So one has to get rid of this jealousy. And in another place, Charak Samhita, where Charak gives a different twist to this Irsha. He says Irsha is not something one can, draw some positive energy from the Irsha also and make it an instrument for developing, for the growth. So Charak outlines, so why do I bring Ayurveda? Because Ayurveda was something which was to deal with the, day-to-day life of people, with the human psychology at a practical level. And Ayurveda offers something, when these are known as Subhashitas literature, Ayurveda also has its own Subhashitas called Sadvritta. So each Ayurveda Grantha in its Sutra Sthana, in the introductory section, you will have Sadvritta. Sadvritta means that which has to be followed, and by following Sadvrittas, one can remain well, free from diseases. And there are a list of Sadvrittas. How one should, how should one's dress be, how should one's appearance be, how should one behave, what should be the quality of one's own emotion, physical, psychological, everything is outlined in the Sadvrittas. So one of the Sadvrittas, sutras of Charaka, he says, Hetau irshuhu phale nershu. He says, if you see that someone has grown to a level where he has much wealth, much respect, and he has achieved something, he's a successful, you look at his success, but don't have jealousy in the phala, in the result. Just find out how did he reach at that level. Hetu. What is the hetu of that person being a successful person? And have jealousy in that. Like, oh, he works 22 hours a day, I'll also work. He has this, he spends his energy and time in this manner. So have jealousy in that will help. So he's given a positive twist by referring it to the hetu, not to the phala. Hetu irshu, phale nershu. There is one more beautiful wisdom that we gather from Yaksha Prashna. It's a part of the Mahabharata where Yudhishthira is answering to the questions of the Yaksha, this supernatural being, or the Dharmaraj himself, the Lord of Dharma. He has put him into test and asking lots of questions. If he could answer all these questions, so then he can, save his brothers' lives. So one of the most important questions there, the Yaksha asks him, Kim Ascharyam? What is the most strange thing in this world? What is the most strange thing in this world? Now, if this question, if we keep or we ask to a crowd who has not read the answer to this, how many varieties of answers we will get? Like, what is the strange thing in this world? The strangest. And the answer which Yudhishthira gives is the most practical answer. So he said to Yaksha that ahani bhutani gachanti yamamandiram or yamanilayam or gachantiha yamalayam. There are various readings. So ahani bhutani. So every day, ahani, day by day, every day, we see in front of our eyes deaths happening. Every day people are dying. Going to Yamapura, visiting the Yama. Ahani, and it's an unending journey, and it's a day-to-day affair ahani ahani bhutani gachanti yama mandiram. He said, but the strangest thing in this world is that Sheshaha, all those who are left, they feel that no one can do anything to them. There's no death for them. Shesha sthavaram icchanti kimascharya matah param. What can be the stranger, more strange than this attitude that all those who are left, they feel that mera kaun kya bigad sakta hai. Although we find the death happening every day, kimascharya matah param. So this is what is a little bit of introduction to the vast oceanic volume of the Subhashita literature, wherefrom we gather lot of elements, lot of inspirations, insights and values for leading a right kind of life. The whole purpose was to give the practical wisdom to lead a practical right kind of life. Yeah, so that is one kind of literature again, which let me mention about it. Like we have seen the literature, like Vedic literature having the quality of the mantric literature. We have seen the poetic literature in shloka forms, in prose forms, in drama forms, in mixture of prose and poetry form. So the other unique contribution of India was the sutra kind of literature. The sutras are, so as it is explained, the definition of sutra is alpaksharam. It has to have minimum number of syllables. Asandigdham, but with using only minimum letters, one expresses a world view, wider, applications of the thing. Vishwato mukham. It is open to many interpretations, open to all kinds of interpretations, because it is essential. It's very, very potential. Alpaksharam, asandigdham, saravat, and it is just the essence of something which is great, something is which is more, something which is voluminous. Alpaksharam asandigdham saravat vishwato mukham astobham anavadyam cha sutram sutra vido viduh. Astobham and anavadyam. That no one can question anything. So it is free from all kinds of faults. Okay. All kinds of blemishes. So to this perfection, the people in ancient India, the saints and sages, they had perfected the language and the presentation mechanism that perfectly they could, in a very precise manner, mathematically, like mathematics is precise as mathematics, as precise as music. So they could present something through the form of this writing called sutra shaili, the sutra kind of composition. And nowhere in the world you find this unique composition called sutra. So one example will give you what is the significance of the sutras. Panini, say for example, has composed this Ashtadhyayi in sutra style, just approximately 4,000 sentences, very small sentences, and one can just print it and then carry it in one's pocket. So Patanjali, who had to write a commentary on Panini's Ashtadhyayi. So he has not commented on all the 4,000 rules. He has commented only 1,700 or 1,800 rules, sutras of Panini. Do you know how many volumes Patanjali has written his commentary? His commentary is in 85 volumes, just on 1,700 sutras, 85 volumes. And each volume was written on a single day or in a single day and is supposed to be learnt in a day. So that is why it is known as Ahnika. Ahnika means 1 day composition, 1 day work. Ahnika. So like this 85 Ahnikas. And people have spent more than 50 years reading few Ahnikas. At present, very few people writing sutras, but in modern writings, there are sutra writings. For example, Vasishtha Ganapati Muni, who was from 1878 to 1936, has written 2 full volumes are in sutra style. It's sutra style. So that happened in between 1920 to 1936. All his sutra compositions, the sutra style, as I told you, this like Patanjali's Yoga Sutras. It's more, aphoristic in nature, but As we understand in English aphorism, the sutras are completely different than just aphorism, because there is a mechanism which makes the sutra unique, the technique. Okay. Suppose you say Panini, you say take one technique of Panini. If Panini has to speak about all the vowel sounds, so the whole purpose is to make it compact. How compact one can make, and especially in the grammatical text, presenting the grammatical text, it is said that a grammarian writing in sutra style will like take care to save even half a syllable, half a matra. Forget about syllable, half a matra. He will, if he saves, he feels happy. So they say, there is a saying in Sanskrit, it says ardhamatra laghavena, by saving half a matra, putrutsavam manyante vyakaranaha. A grammarian feels the happiness of having a male child in the family, birth of a male child, like how happy people are. So that is the kind of joy one draws by just merely saving half a matra. So the same way, like Panini will not say swara varnaha or swaraha, so he will use a technique by which just by this sound you mean all the vowels. Just by this abbreviation you mean all consonants, or consonants from this end to that end. So the whole purpose in the sutra style is to make it as compact as possible and as clear as possible. So all these things are explained in the beginning, so then one can understand the sutras. Haiku is again style of poetic composition. See, the people consider, some of the people in the modern time, they are writing haikus in Sanskrit, giving this impression to people that even the haikus is the shortest kind of poems in the world. Just in 3 lines, 3 small lines, 1 line, 17, using only 17 syllables, you write a poem, a complete thought is expressed through that. But in Sanskrit, when you come, you have got 1 syllabled meter. Just in 4 syllables, you can express a complete thought using just 4 syllables. You have 2 syllabled meters, 3 syllabled meters, 4 syllabled meters. So they're shorter than haikus also. No, that is not necessary. 17 syllable, that is there the syllable is not counted, the matra is counted, and also it becomes a different chanda. One can create a new chanda also. Your chandas are infinite. And here you have 2 syllabled meter, 3 syllabled meter. Suppose you take a 5 syllabled or 4 syllabled meter, so you have total number of syllables is 16 syllables. Jaya mire bhava tushta kuru nashtam bhava kashtam. In 16 syllables, you are presenting a whole thought. And it's in chanda, it's a complete poetry. It's a 4 syllabled meter. Meter means the chanda, the metrical pattern, the physical framework through which the poetry is expressed. That is technically it is chandas, but in the deeper sense, chandas means the rhythmic, the universal rhythmic movement which sustains the creation. There's chandas in the nature, in the leaves, in the petals, in my heartbeat, in the waves, sea waves. It's all filled in with chandas. Without chandas, no creation. That is the deeper aspect of it. But technically, it is the metrical patterns. The physical framework is the grammar of the poetry. This is how I write, these many syllables. This is how the syllables will be arranged into short and long. So that is what is meter. There is no poetic element in the sutra because they are meant to write mostly the technical scientific literature. Yeah. Or sometimes the deeper realizations also in sutra form. The Yoga Sutra is a technical text again. The higher thoughts and deeper realizations can be expressed through this, but there also, like in sutras, there will be difference between the sutra style that is adopted by Panini and the sutra style adopted by Patanjali. There will be a whole difference. Technical writing, mostly technical writings or anything where they very shortly they wanted to present a bigger idea, so they adopt to have mathematical idea. To present anything precisely, the sutra is adopted. So one need not write volumes of books, just write few pages. And all that you want to convey, you convey it. Now you see Patanjali's Yoga Sutra, people have written commentaries in 3 big volumes, 3000 pages. That is the power of sutras. All these things are not anyone's imagination. Patanjali has all these different meanings behind, or all the possible meanings one extracts from this. True, yes. Yes, there was no written form, so everything was to be memorized, commit to the memory. So if it was short and pithy, it was easy to, and there also in sutras also you have a perfect rhythm. So it was easy to memorize the sutras also. Depends upon the temperament of the poet or the author. So they present it. Whichever style is, suitable to them. So okay, we take a break.